In recent years, shark attacks have become a frightening but uncommon occurrence, which has piqued the curiosity of the media as well as the general public. Nonetheless, the people who are attacked might occasionally suffer horrific repercussions as a result of these attacks. One of these things took place when a shark attacked a family while they were at the beach and caused them significant harm. The specifics of the attack, which illustrate how hazardous it can be to enter the water, have left a great number of individuals in a state of disbelief. This incident demonstrates how crucial it is to exercise caution and respect while interacting with natural environments, particularly in situations where people are present in the territory of wild animals. Be sure to watch the video all the way through because you won't want to miss any of the action if you do. Also, subscribe to our channel now and press the bell icon for future updates. Let us start. In the year 1967, you might have discovered a bunch of your closest friends getting ready to embark on an adventure for the day in Sydney, Australia. They might have been getting ready to do something like skydiving or surfing. After getting into the car together, the four people, 3 adults and 1 child, began expressing their pleasure in being in each other's company as they drove around the coast of Australia. The whole membership of the company was comprised of 3 adults and a single youngster at the time. As they traveled, they were passing through the gorgeous Dover Heights neighborhood located in Sydney's eastern suburbs. Dover Heights is located within the boundaries of the city of Sydney. On this particular day, however, the fog that was all around them made it difficult for them to see very far as they traveled along the path that loops along the tops of the cliffs. The child who was situated in the back seat became agitated as the automobile continued to move forward because he had dropped something on the floor and was unable to pick it up while the vehicle was going. The driver reached behind him into the footwell of the vehicle to soothe the distressed youngster. He looked for an object in the footwell that might help him accomplish this goal. Despite this, for him to accomplish what he needed to accomplish, he was required to take his eyes off the road for a fraction of a second. Yet this millisecond ended up being the determining element in his demise, since he underestimated his speed as he approached the following turn, which led to his going off the road and eventually leading to his death. This microsecond, however, ended up being the deciding factor in his demise. The birth of the child was the direct result of the circumstances that existed. The link had to have some slack in it for him to be able to move, but other than that, it was holding him in place in a fairly secure manner. As it proceeded onward, he was able to make out the groaning and creaking sounds that the car made. When the driver looked over his shoulder, he could see that the youngster and the other passengers were not moving at all. This occurred under the strain every time he made even the tiniest movement, and the automobile rocked and swayed as if it were hanging on by inches. He desperately tried to reach them to wake them up, but they didn't respond due to the strain. He didn't know what to do if he somehow managed to climb out of the car because he was still stuck on a sheer cliff 100 feet above the sea. People rushed to the scene. He tried to reach them. He tried to wake them up. He tried to wake them up. He tried to reach them. He tried to wake them up. The man had a significant head injury as a result of banging his head so forcefully on the steering wheel, and emergency personnel rushed to the scene as quickly as they could to assist as soon as they arrived at the scene. The man had suffered a head injury as a consequence of banging his head so forcefully on the steering wheel. Even though blood was gushing out of the wound on his head, he was having problems focusing his eyes, and he had the sensation that someone was beating on his brain. His ears were filled with the quick hammering of his heart, which completely occupied all of the space in his head. The rock suddenly gave way, sending the car and the driver careening down the cliff after hovering precariously near to the brink of the cliff for 30 minutes and pleading with God for a miracle. As he prayed to God for a miracle, he was gripped with fear and began to panic. After that point, the automobile started its trek down the slope in the direction of the valley below. Somersaulting down the cliff, it crashed into the water below and bobbed there for a few minutes. The man felt the rush of water entering the vehicle. He desperately pulled at his seatbelt, but it wouldn't unclip as the water kept rising. He panicked more and more, and he felt it creep up over his feet and onto his lap. He was now sitting in waist-high water when something swept past his side just outside the window. Somersaulting down the cliff, it crashed into the water below. Somersaulting down the cliff, it fell into the water below. Somersaulting down the cliff, the water was cut through by a dark-colored fin first, followed by another dark-colored fin cutting through the water shortly after the first. Blood started to drop into his eyes as a result of his rapid breathing, and he wiped it away as soon as he could before turning his focus to the coastline, which was tantalizingly close all around him. His rapid breathing had caused the blood to drip into his eyes. The man was well aware that he only had a few seconds to get away from his pursuers before the automobile he was in crashed to the bottom of the bay, causing him to perish as a result of the ordeal he had been through. He was well aware that he needed to take swift action to stave off death. To save his life, he mustered every last ounce of bravery he could muster and leaped over the moving automobile's top. The sharks were in a famished state and they consumed everything that came into their field of vision when they were in this state. They were now sat inside the vehicle, having successfully gained entry through the back door, and had moved to the seats that were the farthest to the back of the car. Because of its dorsal fins, the animal was able to break the surface tension of the water and become visible above the water. They had just started giving the animals food at the moment, but they were in the process of doing so. Over several years, there have been multiple reports of shark attacks that took place in Sydney Harbor and on the beaches that are located nearby. Although the particular species of shark that was responsible for the attack has never been identified and is still a mystery, marine researchers have hypothesized that it may have been caused by bull sharks, because these sharks sometimes hunt in groups known as schools. The observation that bull sharks sometimes hunt in groups provides the foundation for this concept. On that horrible day, he was confronted with the agonizing and unfathomable deaths of his companions, an experience that would remain with him for the rest of his life. In the years, there have been several reports of shark attacks that took place within Sydney Harbor as well as on the beaches that are located close by. The fatal attack on a family by a shark demonstrates how dangerous it may be to approach too close wild creatures. Avoid getting too close to wild animals. Even though it may be tempting to get up close and personal with them, you should always approach them with regard and caution. It is essential to keep in mind that these beautiful creatures are dangerous predators, so even though it may be tempting to do so, you should always approach them. It serves as a sobering reminder that nature is not always predictable, and that even the most experienced people might be surprised by something that they were not expecting. Our thoughts and prayers are with the families and loved ones of those who were impacted by this heinous event. May God comfort them during this difficult time. We must maintain our education on the habits and lifestyles of a wide variety of animals, and it is also essential that we use the utmost caution when engaging with the species in question. When we are out here appreciating the beauty of our natural world, we must watch out for our safety as well as the safety of those who are in the immediate area. I hope you have enjoyed watching the video. Give this video a big thumbs up and do share it with your family and friends. Until next time, take care.